So, as I begin my second public presidential campaign address, I again find it necessary in an effort to show the American people that I am ready for the difficult job that awaits me to talk about completely different things than I talked about last time, so that you understand that I understand how many things I will need to simultaneously process while holding the great responsibility of being the president of New America, which we might actually just call Numerica now, so as to try to make math more fashionable to the youth. That's just an option. Anyways, point is, I'm going to talk about a bunch of completely new things this time, since I kind of already repetitively hammered my last points home already, just to make sure that every American, from the dumbest redneck country bumpkin dingleberry farmer to the most idiotic inner city nincompoop hood rat wannabe gangster, can equally understand the direction in which I wish to steer the merry precise little missiles which their Christmas present taxes have enabled me to equip to my best submarines, because New America is going to be colonizing the oceans. Don't worry, we'll start with just the eastern half of the Pacific Ocean, by which, of course, I mean the eastern half of the mass of the Pacific, and not the half of the Pacific which would be on the east side of a traditional map of the world, because, obviously, I wouldn't want you to get confused about those, since those are opposite things. I'm glad you understand. We might want to design new maps that put Numerica in the center and just split Asia, so that people only get confused about whether to call the eastern or western half of Asia the western or eastern, because, instead of our beloved previously Pacific, now Numerican Ocean. Anyways, moving on. We are going to have so much healthcare for New Americans. We all know our current medical industrial complex is basically a sham, so we're essentially going to destroy the whole thing and rebuild from the ground up. We'll start by really prioritizing self-health care and dietary health courses throughout the schooling process, since that's basically half the work of being alive, is having a healthy body. And having a healthy body helps you have a healthy mind, of course, so health courses will all be mandatory courses in New American schooling. As far as where hospitals are at right now, though, we'll start by just burning all the insurance companies to the ground. Everybody knows they're just arbitrary middlemen. We'll make it fun. We'll make it into a game show or something. I'm sure everybody would love watching health insurance companies being demolished. Anyways, once they're out of the way, and we're just going to take all of their assets while we're at it, we're also going to significantly raise taxes on doctors. This is only partly because I have a personal bias against doctors, because I've never found one who will even attempt to help me discover why my eyes are boiling. It's only partly because of that, and mostly because we will need their excess currency, which I'm sure they probably are only using for greedy, selfish needs anyways, and we will take that currency and give it to everyone who needs healthcare, so that they can then pay the doctors money back once they actually have received healthcare. Also, we got to get rid of bullshit like how expensive ambulance rides are, so yeah, you won't have to pay doctors until they've actually performed services that have actually helped you. I know that's pretty radical, but I think that's just a little bit more fair, and ambulances are only going to cost a fuck ton if you didn't actually need them. It'll all work out in the end, because the doctors will make back the money that has been taxed from them, because they will have more patients to help out. It's really the only way to keep people healthy that makes sense, besides doing everything possible to help them not being unhealthy or getting injured in the first place, but we already covered that as best we could. The game show about demolishing insurance companies is going to be great, though. Super high ratings. Everybody hates insurance. Everybody knows it's a shamelessly glamorized middlemaning scam. And everybody will love to watch the ads playing in between those buildings being tested on by my New American military equipment. Which brings me to my next very important tactical factor in my presidential campaign to banter or perhaps rant about, and that is campaign funding. Alright. We all know that it barely matters what my presidential plans and promises are in comparison to how important it is that we put fuck tons of money into making me president. Nothing I stand for matters if we can just get a few advertisements out to people who have no idea what I stand for, And I've got some great ideas for fundraising, since we're gonna, it's gonna be a while before we can pilfer the medical community. For starters, we need to do caramel covered pretzels. I feel like that's a really untapped market. Everybody just does chocolate and yogurt pretzels. We got to capitalize on caramel covered pretzels. Maybe half chocolate, half caramel ones. I think that could be a major source of income for us. I think doing the half chocolate might save a little money on the caramel. I don't know. We could just do straight caramel. That's a good idea too. Um, Also, we might just try to sell like plates that are a little more concave, convex, whatever it is, so that they can hold a little bit more liquid than normal plates. No, that's that a little bit too specific. All right. Well, there's got to be some way to capitalize on really good combinations of food that people aren't aware they're allowed to eat yet. Like, have you ever had guacamole on bagels? Like, if you have a good bagel, it's surprisingly good. And I know the sound of vanilla hummus sounds awful, but if you actually make a banana split and you put vanilla hummus on it instead of ice cream, it can be just as delicious, if not better, and quite a bit healthier for you. It's a seriously untapped market, vanilla hummus banana splits. Nobody's ever done it before. While I'm at it, if we could just start selling much higher quality, mass-produced frozen vegetarian burritos for a good price, I think that could go somewhere. But I know I've got much better campaign financing ideas than those. For instance, a timed sock warmer alarm clock. Half an hour before you wake up, it starts warming up your socks for you. You're not going to be nearly as mad that you have to wake up if you have warm socks. And the one without the alarm function is a few bucks cheaper, of course. Also, small foot bath hot tubs. You know what I mean? I think washing our feet daily and showering less often might be an acceptable shift in human grooming habits. We can call them like Mary Magdalene's Serene Foot Rejuvenation Extravaganza Machines. I don't know. I think that'll sell well. I mean, maybe it's not the exact same, since I think she consecrated Jesus' feet with her tears. That's what I heard, at least. But even if she didn't do that, I mean, I've had my feet consecrated with women's tears, so why aren't people talking about me? I really feel like people should be focusing on me and not Jesus here, since I'm the one who's going to be president. Also, if we're doing sock warmers, we've got to do glove warmers and towel warmers. I bet someone could design a small, like, tube-shaped portable towel dryer and warmer for hitchhikers and such who need to keep their towels clean and warm. I'm sure that would be popular and an accessible market. Also, we're not done talking marketing until I've mentioned the sticker buzzer idea, which I've had for forever. It's super simple, and millions of people will need this product. All it is a wall-mounted buzzer device, which has 10 or 20 tiny sticky remote buzzers, which can be adhesively attached to cell phones or remote controls or keys or pet collars or whatever else one thinks one might lose, so that when one loses the thing, they will simply needs walk to the mounted wall buzzer box and press the corresponding button to have the location of the missing object be revealed by the buzz. If we wanted to get fancy, instead of a simple buzzer, we could do some sort of actual 3D radar sticker locator. Anyways, that's another pretty easy idea to sell that I'm sure will serve to help fund my presidential campaign. We'll also look into ways to blackmail oil companies for some funding. Everybody does that, so that their dying industry can shamefully cling to the last wretched convulsions of its disgusting life as we convert all of what was formerly Mexico into a giant Numerican solar panel. Yes, we are finally going to make ourselves energy sustainable, but if the oil lobbyists want to help fund the campaign a little, we'll allow them to keep playing around until they can inflate the shares of their stocks for a while before bailing out as the industry crashes, moving to Madagascar, purchasing half of Madagascar, and starting an offshore oil dredging dystopian pirate nation where they throw the wildest parties you could ever imagine. Anyways, that handful of projects... That should really just about cover campaign financing. Also, I want a couple thousand fancy little computers mining Bitcoin for me, just in case. They'll pay themselves off within a few years. We might have to start finding a way to tax Bitcoin, though. But we'll make sure to only use the tax revenue from it to help people buy drugs they need, all of which are going to be legal, since that's pretty much what people are using Bitcoin for anyways, as far as I know. Another big thing I want my presidency to expand is esports. Way cooler than regular sports, honestly. We're going to be getting high schools and junior high esports teams that come together and practice for a couple hours after school every day, just like regular athletic teams. We're going to be hosting Olympic-level esports tournaments every single month for different combinations of genres. The more people play video games, the less they'll want to overpopulate the planet. Take it from me, I play a lot of video games and I don't want to overpopulate the planet, and I'm sure I speak for, or at least I will speak on behalf of, all the other gamers in the world who vote for me because I, like them, am a gamer, and I'm going to make all their hobbies popular enough that even IRL girls will talk to them just for being good at video games, and they can go through that like anime character growth thing where they're like, begone thought, I cannot spend time with you for it will interfere with my training or some other important thing. And that's something that I really feel that young nerdy males don't get enough of, is power trips over all the women around them. In an effort to equalize the privileges that members of society receive, it shouldn't just be popular athletic males who get vain power trips over women. Even the weaker, nerdier males should also be encouraged to have vain power trips over women. Now, I understand that there's been a little bit of controversy. You know, I've come under a bit of scrutiny lately because I spent 2 days straight marathoning 4 seasons of BoJack Horseman. Those episodes, less than 30 minutes each season is less than 6 hours, so that was less than 24 total hours spent watching the show over the course of 2 days. So there was a bit of time left over for me to do things like feed myself and clean up cat puke as well as litter. So I would argue that I did pretty well as far as time efficiency, and plus, what kind of president couldn't even handle watching 4 seasons of BoJack Horseman in 2 days? Every president should be able to do at least that plus some other things. I for one, I can also walk on my hands. How many presidents have you ever seen do that? I mean, all I'm trying to say is that Numerica will be great, it will be absolutely beautiful once I am president, but if anybody else in the entire world ends up being president instead of me, this nation will continue to be fucking garbage. So, you would really better vote for me if you don't want your sad, miserable, pathetic little existences to get even more sad, miserable, and pathetic than they already are. So please, a vote for me is a vote to allow men to publicly piss into rivers and onto trees. If, however, you would rather not vote for me, that is also fine, because I'm still in control. I'm still making all of these changes, just slowly, so as few boomers have panic attacks as possible in the process. Anyways, that's about all there is to say for now. Just wanted to explain a few more of my major projects and priorities to the people since the presidency, which I will be fighting for as a very important position, not just some perpetual nonsensical distraction, and your vote really matters. It matters so much that it's actually the only say you get in anything, and once it's done, you get no more say in anything. That's how important it is. So make sure to choose me as the tentative representative of the parts of your heart that encourage you to get out there and vote in the presidential election next year. God bless Numerica, but also God curse everyone God doesn't like. I mean, it's not... Alright, just a sec, I lost my place. Where were we? Yeah, God curse everyone God doesn't like. I mean, it's not hard to get blessed by God. I mean, I got blessed by God just because I experience a profound love for the beauty of sadness. Maybe a couple other things. Now, if I can be blessed for something that trivial, then I'm sure some of you can get on God's good side, even if maybe you haven't always been on the friendliest of terms with God in the past. By the way, America is going to formally acknowledge the existence of God, but we'll still have freedom of religion. You can still believe or refuse to believe anything you want, but we're going to formally recognize that God exists. And we're going to start making more temples where we will offer offerings and reenact all God's favorite rituals, as well as God's favorite fans' favorite rituals. There's going to be all sorts of rituals whenever there's spare time. All right, last thing, and then you can go think about your own less important, mundane, non-presidential life. My advisors briefly mentioned to me that the humans will like me more if I say that I love dogs, so I just want everybody to know that not only do I love dogs, but I really truly love Isle of Dogs, the relatively recent Wes Anderson classic. Even for the incredibly high standards which I hold my boy Wes Anderson to, that movie really took it to the next level. However, I would also like to mention that I love cats. I might love the average cat more than the average dog, but not if that alienates the dog crowd, in which case it's the opposite. I also really love chinchillas because they are the softest, which is why we should farm them more effectively to make chinchilla fur hats, which are just unbelievably comfortable. More cat and dog people should have chinchilla fur hats. All right, last thing, I just want to mention one more product that my campaign is going to be selling to fund itself, and that is knee pillows, which are obviously just pillows you're supposed to put between your knees as you go to sleep. Of course, you can just do that with a regular pillow, but with the proper marketing plus the whole brand new idea that they can put pillows between their knees to help them sleep in a funny shaped pillow that accommodates the knees. I really think that's another idea that will sell well enough to, help get this campaign going places. I suppose that's about all for now. I'll keep this second presidential campaign briefing short so that you can all get back to the aforementioned mundane inconveniences of your non-presidential lives. I have always had a debatably good habit of staring straight through people, and just wondering what exactly is next, what is beyond, what is past this person. How do I get them to get out of my way? And I've found that if they don't get out of my way, then I can simply move them, for all they are is semi-transparent clay to me. Clay that was made to be molded and remolded in new and old ways, day to day, vainly straying from lankier lengths to more compressed vestments. Can meager and humble clay resent a sculptor for what he sculpts? Has a sculptor ever been jealous of his own clay? Anyways, campaign boasts made, champagne toasts received. Now don't get me wrong, Rick and Morty is a highly intellectual show, which is definitely not for peasants. But BoJack Horseman makes Rick and Morty seem morbidly lacking. Not to be a poor lackluster sportsman, but more Rick and Morty episodes are mere rickety orbits of the anthropomorphized supernovas of innovation which BoJack Horseman collapses upon this theoretical show universe, and their gravity will never be able to alter the natural course of a single long flowing syllable repeating pun for the name of a show from Princess Caroline, which I am unworthy of even attempting to replicate. I just need that to be on the record. Rick and Morty is alright, but BoJack Horseman is in a league of its own.